This is an ABP Live Podcast.
Welcome to Cracking Conversations. I am Niharika Nanda, and in this podcast, we talk to people, share experiences, and crack meaningful conversations. In today's episode, let's talk about success. What a huge term this is. It carries a lot of weight. Everyone thinks that one can become successful only after years and years of constantly working in your particular field. Maybe when you reach the age of 50 or maybe 60 or maybe 70. But is that true? Or is that not true? And what is success? What is meaningful success? This is exactly what we are going to talk about today with Dr. Vivek Mansingh, who is a mentor in the pursuit of mentoring a million. He has taken upon himself the responsibility of mentoring a million people. He has been a global leader, an entrepreneur, an author, an innovator, an international speaker, and a philanthropist. He has worked with the brightest minds in this entire world, from David Packard to Bill Hewlett, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell, and John Chambers, and many, many more. And now, learning from his experiences and from his life, he has written an amazing book by the name of Achieving Meaningful Success, Unleash the Power of Me. We welcome with us Dr. Vivek Mansingh. Many congratulations to you, sir, for writing such a masterpiece of a book. And I welcome you to our podcast today. And I feel honored that I have gotten the opportunity to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to it as well.
Same here, sir. Doctor, can you tell us a little about your book? What is it about?
Niharika, when I retired from Cisco, I looked at my professional life and two things I noticed. One, I'm a product of my mentors. My mentors have helped me tremendously. And over 35 years of my career, I have helped hundreds, if not thousands of people as a mentor. Okay. And have made a significant difference to them. So then I said, okay, as a legacy, as my innings comes to close, what gift can I give to the world? And I said, okay, now I want to mentor a million people.
Oh, wow.
Now, how do you mentor a million people, right? You can't meet them face to face. So yes, that is the genesis of the book. So I said, if I write a book that becomes a mentor for people, then I can reach million people. And after reading the book, if people have questions, which like a normal mentor they can go to my website or social media and ask those questions and we'll answer those questions. So the book comes as a mentor and follow-on questions will be answered on the website or social media. So the book becomes a mentor and provides you a mentor. And my goal is to reach a million people and impact them positively. That is the genesis of the book, Niharika.
That is an amazing thought, sir. And with a person who comes with the kind of experience that you do, I think one of the best ways for mentoring anyone, I think it's a great deal because there are entrepreneurs out there, young minds, who really want to launch themselves into this entire world, and yet they do not have the right focus, they do not have the right mentorship. And I'm sure that your book will definitely become a mentor to them. So, Doctor, your book, it is named Achieving Meaningful Success, Unleash the Power of Me. So, what is the difference, according to you, between success and meaningful success?
Excellent question. And the answer lies in two data points that I'll present to you.
Okay.
In United States, multiple studies have been done on people who look successful to the world. But when they are asked, do you consider yourself successful? Many of them said no.
Okay.
In another study, they talked to largest corporations in America, their CEOs who had retired, and asked them, do you consider yourself successful? Now, here is the dream job for anyone, the largest of the large companies in US, and asking their CEOs, and many of them said no. Okay. Now, I'll present the third data point to you. Professor Clayton at Harvard University, he did a fantastic study. He followed a group of MBA students. And at their fifth alumni meet, he found that everyone was happy. Everyone had great spouses, great jobs, great houses, cars, this, that. everyone was happy. At the 10th reunion of the same class, 1/3 of the people did not show up. And when he called to find out, they found out that 1/3 of the people were dealing with one or the other challenges. Either health was a challenge, or relationships were a challenge, or some other problem they were having. At 25th anniversary or a reunion, Niharika, half the people did not show up.
Oh my
and
God.
These half people had relationships problem, serious health problems, and actually many of them had ended up in jail for unethical practices. Now, these are the smartest people in the world. So I presented you the evidence of Harvard University's MBA batch, S&P 500 of the largest companies' CEOs, and other cases. So what is happening here? These are very smart, very successful people. The problem is that they probably pay too much attention to their professional career goals, which are education, profession, money, material goal, recognition, all that. Nothing wrong with that. But the other side of the coin is actually relationship, health, spirituality, fun, giving back. So without this balancing factor, you actually seem to achieve success in other people's opinion, but you still find it hollow. And that is why I have come up with the concept called wheel of goals. So you never pursue one goal as the only one to pursue. You achieve balanced goals. So there'll be 5, 7, 8, 9, however many goals you want. Only you can decide that. But if you pursue those goals that you want and balance it well, when you achieve success, it will be meaningful success. You will be happy, you will see fulfillment, and you will be very proud of your journey.
So I think that's a very meaningful thought again, because over the years, we have heard stories and we have seen that there are people who are successful, there are people who are wealthy, again, similar kind of people that you just mentioned, and yet they are not satisfied with their lives. They are suffering through mental illnesses. They are not in a very good shape. Definitely talking about things other than their monetary situation. So I think this is a very good idea and a very logical idea to create meaningful, successful people. So you just talked about your wheel of goals. So can you tell us a little about that? Like, what are these goals?
So ultimately, first point is, Niharika, nobody else can decide goals for you. You have to decide your own goals, because it's your life and you can choose whatever you want. However, you can learn from other people and say, I don't want to make this mistake or that mistake. So in the book, it is very well described that here are 8 goals from my life. I have pursued 8 goals. You pursue 5, you pursue 10. It really depends on them. So again, there are 2 parts: professional goals, which include education, job, career, money, material success and all. And the other goals, which I call them well-being goals, which have health goals, giving back goals, fun goals, relationship goals, and others. And you balance them, right? So now that the concept is clear, the next challenge, Niharika, comes is, when do we decide these goals and how? And here are the problems that people face. And as a mentor, I'm telling you the solution. So I think 15 year onwards, you start making choices in your subjects, which actually start deciding your career, whether you want them or not.
Very true.
Right? You may like maths, and that may be the only reason to choose engineering. Your parents may be medical doctors, and you say, okay, I also want to be doctor. Well, those may not be the right reasons. Those choices, nothing wrong with them, but they may not be the right reasons. So it is very important that you start thinking about your aspirational goals from 15 onwards. Now, in aspirational goals, here are the 2 points I will make to you. These goals have to be big. And because in India, many of us come from middle class families, we have seen a lot of constraint in our early stage. It is very hard to think big.
Very true.
Okay. So here is the example I give to people. What I mean by aspirational goals. So Dilip Kumar, the actor in Bollywood, right? He was selling fruit in Bombay. He didn't aspire to become the largest fruit seller in Bombay. He aspired to become an actor, and he did.
Yes.
And you guys will probably connect more with Mahendra Singh Dhoni was a ticket collector.
Yeah,
he didn't aspire to become a station master. He aspired to play cricket for India, and he did. This is what aspirational goal mean. We ourselves do not know the capacity we have. So that is why you aspire big. Many times when when I do mentoring and mentees come and they can't think of something big, then I say, okay, God is in front of you, and he or she says, ask. Now there is no constraint. Ask whatever you want to. What would you ask? And then people start thinking that, okay, I can actually think big. Right? So as capturing aspirational goal is one part. Then the second part of my book covers become worthy of it. Become the best version of it to deserve what you have aspired for. So in one line, Niharika, if I have to say what the book is, it is about define who you aspire to be and then become that person. That's the whole book.
Yes, sir. And so as you mentioned that our dreams and our aspirations only start developing once we start believing in ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so you mentioned at the end that one needs to become the best version of themselves. So
That's
in
right.
your opinion, how can a person become the best version of themselves?
One step back I will take, and then I'll come to this, right? So
Okay.
once you have defined your aspirational goals, Niharika, and they should excite you. I want to be a leading surgeon in Bangalore. I want to be a leading lawyer in Supreme Court in India. I want to be a businessman of this size by this date. I want to be an entrepreneur and create $100 million company. Or I want to be a professor in a university and do research in material science in this area. Whatever that is, nobody else can decide these goals.
Very true.
But whatever you pick as your professional goals and other goals, you should be excited about it. You should be very passionate. So this is very important part of thing. Now, before I answer your question, why being passionate is so important. A lot of studies say you have to work for 10,000 hours to develop excellence in a particular area.
Okay.
Now, for a typical person, that is 7 years of work. Okay. Now, if you are passionate, now see the magic of passion. You are actually working 24/7. So you have read that Rahul Dravid, when he would get up at midnight to go to bathroom, he will actually practice his strokes. What is happening here? He is playing cricket 24/7.
24/7. Yeah.
Okay,
Constantly
so then
thinking about it, dreaming, working for it.
Absolutely. So then how long does it take you to complete those 10,000 hours? Year and a half.
Wow. Yes.
In 5 years, you would have accumulated experience of 15 years. And that is when you see a 14-year-old becoming grandmaster of chess.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Right? So Mahendra Singh Dhoni just didn't aspire and then sat on his butt and said, let me wait and see if I can play for India. He improved his fitness, he improved his game, he has improved his mental capability, and so on. So he became worthy of his aspiration. We have to do the same. So there are 3 pillars that I believe that apply to every person who can actually improve and become worthy of their aspirations. Which are these three pillars? One is excellence. Everyone should try to develop excellence in his or her area of core competence. Whatever they are good at, they don't have to copy somebody else. If you are good at you could be a good communicator, Niharika. You have chosen this field. Somebody could be good in cricket, somebody could be good in engineering. Whatever you are good at, try to create excellence there. Amitabh Bachchan, Lata Mangeshkar, Rahul Dravid, what have they done? They have built excellence in their area of core competence. One pillar is you develop excellence in your core competence.
Okay, right.
The second pillar is thinking out of the box and innovation. Anything can be improved anytime. No matter what you did yesterday, if you took an interview, there is always a better way to take an interview.
Yes.
If you wrote an article, there's always a better way to write the article. So I think always challenge the status quo. think out of the box and improve things. This is a skill. If you develop this skill, this will take you far. And again, we describe it in the book. Now, the third pillar is leadership. Now, when we talk about leadership, people think we are talking about some leader in the organization or some political leader or some world leader. No, everyone is a leader. Let me tell you the definition of a leader. Simply, a leader does what? Leader has clear vision of where he or she is going. Leader has ability to attain the skill to deliver what they are trying to do, right? They are liked, they are trusted, they deliver results in the end because they have developed the skills and they work hard to deliver that. Now, where is leader here? This applies to every one of us.
Very true.
And so that third pillar is leadership. If you do these three things, irrespective of your profession, you could be doctor, lawyer, whoever. If you do this, you're starting to become the best version of yourself.
Yes.
And we all owe it to ourselves to become the best version of ourselves and use the potential that has been given to us by our parents, God, whoever you want to give the credit for. So these are the three pillars described in the book on how you can become the best version of yourself. Now, let me give an example from my life, Niharika, that will tie all of this together.
Definitely.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So I was 30 years old. I finished my PhD. I reached Silicon Valley and I was working for HP.
Okay.
I gave myself a goal that at the age 40, I want to be financially independent. And I decided the criteria that will be used for becoming financially independent. Now the question is, what do I do? So I was a single earner in my family, so I couldn't give up my job. I couldn't start a company. I didn't have money. I didn't have green card. So now what do I do? But this is the power of passion and this is the power of goal setting. Slowly, I started coming to a point where I got an idea. If I invent something and license it to a company, I can actually keep doing it while I'm doing a job and I can become financially independent.
Okay.
Now the idea was there, and then the question is, what do I invent?
What do we do?
So I started looking the problem. I started going to Stanford libraries and research here and there. And to cut the story short, within a year, I invented an instrument, licensed it to a Boston company, and became financially independent.
Wow.
Okay. Now,
in a year, you were able to do it. A goal that you had actually set for 10 years down there.
10 years. So this is the power of what I just described to you.
Very true. And initially, what we were told or what we heard was that we should only maybe focus on our careers and not focus on maybe having fun. जैसे बच्चों को बोला जाता था कि खेलने पे ध्यान मत दो, पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दो, and to only chase logic and not maybe love or not fun. So I think that's a very fresh outlook to the whole success idea, and that is, I think, what makes success meaningful success, as you said in the beginning.
Absolutely. And let me put one angle to this. Take relationship goal, right?
Yes.
Now, you ask any person and they will say they are doing fair share of relationship balance. Ask the other persons who are working with them and they will have different opinions. So relationships are very, very important. Very important. They are the most important assets we have. So in the book, I give example of a US airplane, you may remember, that landed in Hudson River a few years back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the plane ran out of fuel and the plane sort of was going and landing on Hudson River. Now, the imagination the passengers had is that this is it. The plane will hit the water and we are going to die. So one of these persons was sitting in business class and sitting right behind the pilot, more or less, and was seeing all this. And as he saw the plane going towards water and they still have 3, 4, 5 minutes, he says, only thing I was thinking about was relationship. Nothing was important for me. Why did I not say this to my wife? Why did I not do with this to my children? Why did I not do this with my parents? That is how important the relationships are.
Definitely.
Yet what we do is we many times sacrifice it in trying to achieve some professional goal, it's okay to sacrifice some of these for a short period of time. But if you, for 10 years, if you haven't given time to your child, well, he or she is 10 years old now. It's a different person. Now, when things become tough, then these decisions become important. So when we were living in US, and then my mother developed some health issues, we took her to Stanford. And at Stanford Hospital, the doctors checked her and said she has 6 months to live. They were living in India, we were living in California. That evening, me, my wife, and 2 children discussed and decided to return to India. I was CEO of a company. I was living in the best neighborhoods of California. We left everything and came to India without job, without knowing where we were going. And then we settled in Bangalore. We took care of my mother for several years, not just 6 months that the doctors had given her, right? Now, this is a pure relationship goal. Here, what you can see is that at that point in my life, relationship goal became more important than anything else.
Professional goal. Very true.
Professional, money will come, profession will change, but mother will go, she'll go, right? So that is the important part. Once you know your goals and you know that these things are important to me, you will avoid regrets later. Yes. And you will do the right thing, whatever it takes. So I think that is the beauty of Wheel of Goals. That is the beauty of knowing what kind of goals you want to achieve. And relationship should be right on top with other things. It's not something you want to sacrifice.
Prioritizing is very important in many
and different
in general as well.
Yeah, different goals will become prioritized differently in your life. So that's part of the game. That's very true. Part of the game.
So, sir, you have worked with a lot of the brightest minds on the face of earth, from Steve Jobs to David Packard, Bill Hewlett, Michael Dell, John Chambers, and so many more. So, sir, how was your experience of working with such people, and who amongst them was someone that really inspired you?
So, these 5 leaders that I am talking to you about, David Packard, Bill Hewlett, John Chambers, Michael Dell, and Steve Jobs, they are all phenomenal leaders in their own way, right? And they all have different core competence. They are not same leaders. They don't have the same qualities. Steve Jobs, for example, is about creativity. Michael Dell is about execution. John Chambers is about customer. David Packard and Bill Hewlett are about people. So to my point earlier, you have to develop core competence in your area,
your own field,
and build excellence on that. That is the example you can see in these leaders. Now, who is? I mean, I have learned tremendously from all, but obviously people have a different picture of Steve Jobs. I mean, he comes across as a person who had the magic wand, and he did. So he was the best product designer that the world has seen, and that capability he had. So very inspiring. Working with these people is just phenomenal experience. I describe it in the book. For each person, I describe 1 or 2 incidents where I worked with them. But I think let me describe one situation where I worked with Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs came to Apple the second time. Apple was going bankrupt. Apple stock had dropped to $8. The money was going to finish in less than 6 months. That is when Steve Jobs came to Apple the second time. And he looked at I was part of that team. And he looked at and killed 30 products out of 33 or so that were being designed at that time. And then he said, focus on these 3 products. One of that product was called iMac. It was a computer. In the monitor itself, there was a full computer, very beautiful looking computer it was. And so he said, this is the first product we are going to release. And he said this particular computer we'll design without any fan. At that time, most computers were in 2 boxes. One was monitor and one that went under the desk. And that box used a fan. So now combining both into one and not using fan created a phenomenal engineering challenge. And so that is the job given to me, that I was number one in this field of what is called electronic schooling. By that time, I had become number one. And then I worked on his team. Again, to cut the story short, we did design it. It did not have a fan. So when Steve launched the product in Flint Center in Cupertino, he highlighted that feature. And right behind this computer, there is a big poster of iMac, which says Vivek and team couldn't have done without you, signed Steve Jobs. So that's an amazing experience. But then I have had similar experiences. But here is what I have done in the book, Niharika. In chapter 12 of the book, I have interviewed 11 leaders who I admire. These leaders are Ratan Tata, Narayan Murthy, Kiran Majumdar, Dr. Devi Shetty, John Chambers, Sadhguruji, Vani Kola, Vinita Bali, Ramesh and Swati Ramanathan. 11 people who I admire, I have interviewed in the book. These are not generic interviews. These are about topics covered in the book. So the things I described to you earlier, they all underline that. They say this is the right thing to do. So the idea was twofold ideas. One, people who read the book will say, oh my God, if Kiran Majumdar is saying that, or if Ratan Tata is saying that, then it makes sense. That is one. But second, even more important was that it is very important for people to have some people who inspire them.
Yes.
Very important, right? So hopefully out of these 11 people, you will find one or two or three who will inspire you. And you will be able to, and their stories are described and their interactions are described, and full interviews in video form are on my website. So people can go and see my conversation with Narayan Murthy, or my conversation with Kiran Majumdar, or Rahul Dravid, or Prakash Padukone. All these people are there.
So I think including such interviews of such inspiring people in your book is something again very new. Usually we don't get to see interviews become a part of a particular book. And that too, interviews from people from such wide and vast fields all coming together in one particular chapter. I think that's amazing, because we get to see cricketers, we get to see sports persons, we get to see philanthropists, so many of them all together. I think that's a great idea, and I'm sure that your readers will definitely find one, two, or probably even more inspirations out of those 11 people, for sure. And I'd say, sir, there are not 11, there are 12 people. You are definitely one of them, because after all, you have written the book, you have created this masterpiece, and you will be topmost amongst the inspirations that people will get out of this book, I am sure.
Thank you for your wishes. But that's an amazing place where people can derive inspirations.
Yes, sir. It's a great book, sir. And all the features that you just mentioned, from the interviews to experiences of your mentees, I think it is more of an interactive experience than just reading. That is what I feel. And I think it's definitely something that people from across all age groups should consider, and they should read it, because I am sure that it can make them realize that what a different life they can lead for themselves. So it's definitely a masterpiece, Dr. Vivek. Thank you so much for writing and creating such a book. Thank you so much, sir. It is going to be a huge success, and it will make a lot of people successful. So I think that's the best part of it. And thank you so much for joining us today and talking to me about your book.
No, thank you for talking to me. We need help from people like you to spread the message so that people know about the book, people can benefit from the book. And one more important thing before people draw the conclusion that I'm trying to sell the book. No. All the book profits are being donated to Chitspur Eye Hospital for the eye care of the poor. So I'm not making a penny out of the book. That is why I'm shamelessly telling you that it's not for me you need book, it's actually for you. You need
definitely
book, right?
Definitely.
All the profits are going there. And as I said earlier, if after reading the book you have questions, you can come to my website.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us and talking to us about your book. And I'm sure that there will be people out there who will be reading it and benefiting from it very soon. Definitely.
Thank you so much, Niharika.
So that was Dr. Vivek Mansingh talking about his book, Achieving Meaningful Success, Unleash the Power of Me. And I think after this conversation, we all understand that this is such a masterpiece of a book because you actually get the roadmap of reaching to your dream, whatever it might be. And usse better kya ho sakta hai? For more such interesting chats, tune into our podcast, Cracking Conversations, every week only on ABP Live Podcasts. The scripting and the voiceover for this episode was delivered by me, Niharika Nanda, and the sound designing was done by Lalit. See you guys next week.
This is an ABP Live Podcast.